member, is standing by. And Duncan, you've been on this particular beat the entire morning. Perhaps, what's the significance of this economic boycott?
Clearly, this economic boycott, if fully implemented or if taken up by their supporters, who, of course, if the numbers that were generated in August 8th election are anything to go by, more than 6 million, then this could be a clear or blatant economic sabotage. Of course, you know that the economy is not doing so well. The inflation rate in the country has been, I think, hit the highest in the country's history, and therefore, if at all that call will be taken seriously, then this will be a clear economic sabotage. Of course, it will erode by far gains that perhaps the country's the steps that the country had made, the giant leap that the government had made of the country as far as the economic sector is concerned. So yes, if at all this boycott will take effect, it will be a serious economic sabotage.
Haemba, earlier on I did see you speaking to some of the NASA NRM members. Perhaps what is the general feeling? Will Kenyans perhaps implement this call, or is it a big gamble?
If it will be implemented, it's a matter of wait and see. If it will be a success or a big gamble, it's a matter of wait and see. But there are serious concerns that perhaps it could have some effect. Of course, we know that maybe how this could be realized, if at all it will take effect, if maybe they will have to block maybe suppliers from taking the products to the markets in their locality. That is perhaps how it can be effected. Of course, we saw that on 26th of October, during the fresh presidential election, NASA supporters stood their ground in various parts of the country, but more so it was largely pronounced in Bungoma, Kakamega, Vihiga, Kisumu, Homa Bay, Siaya, and Migori counties, and parts of Mombasa County. They stood their ground and they blocked the presidential election from taking place. So if this one will take effect in the name of perhaps, let's say, them blocking suppliers or vehicles that will be transporting goods, then this one will have a very serious effect. And you know, we are looking at a very big, I think we know that most parts, largely those areas are consumers of these products. So if that one is realized, then it will have a very serious effect. And if the strategy that they employed last week in successfully blocking or impeding the government from conducting the election, that is through IEBC, of course, that is the agency, but it's a government institution in as much as it's independent, but that is largely government. Now that they employed that strategy and effectively blocked the presidential election from taking place, in that as we speak today, 25 constituencies never conducted that election, then that strategy could have some effect. And if that one will, if they employ that strategy, then this so-called boycott might work either by force or on their supporters' own volition.
Well, Haemba, social media has been really on a rampage, and I've already seen a lot of feedback coming through in regard to this particular direction that NASA has taken. Of course, bearing in mind, this is not the first time they've issued a boycott. You do remember they issued a boycott on one of the leading newspapers in the country, and it took a lot of dialogue for them to reconsider their position, and eventually they lifted the name of that company. And lastly, Duncan, in terms of operationalization of the NRM, what do we know so far?
This, in terms of operationalization of NRM, of course, they've said that they've picked from where the principals left. They said that there was, the principals rolled out the various mechanisms that they will push to ensure that there is the fresh presidential election within 90 days. And one of them was economic liberation, people's assemblies. Another facet is non-cooperation with what they are calling that illegal national government. And then final one was the defense of the right to peaceful protest. Therefore, this particular one, they've said, being the parliamentary wing or being the National Resistance parliamentary wing, they've decided to pick what they are calling the economic liberation. So we still have People's Assembly, we still have the non-cooperation with what they are calling the illegal national government, and the defense of the right to peaceful protest. So they've just picked one facet or one category, and what the principals had rolled out, that they will use those avenues to ensure that the government does not have peace, if we can use Raila Odinga's words, so to speak. Therefore, this particular wing, they are saying, being the parliamentary wing, they have decided to pick the economic liberation, which is by and large economic sabotage. So we are not so sure how the other ones will pan out, but they've said that they will be actually doing this. And remember that they've said the 3 companies, they've only picked 2. They've said they've identified many locally and globally as well, and they'll be giving a list as days go by. So we are not so sure what will be the next stop. And if I could just pick what they've said, that they are calling for this boycott, that they know that they are calling for a boycott that will hurt, a boycott that will be painful, a boycott that will bring these corporations on their knees and to their senses until they stand up for electoral justice expressed through free, fair, and credible elections. So we are not so sure who will be the next victims of the NRM or the NASA resistance movement's onslaught, but what they are saying, they seem to be so sure that whatever move they are carrying will be hurtful and will bring the so-called corporations on their knees. But I asked Narok Senator Ledamo Lekina that they know too well that the government does not consume these products. At the end of the day, perhaps it would hurt their own supporters. But of course, he clearly explained that they are prepared to pay the price. Their supporters know that this could be the reason as to why they believe they didn't get justice at the ballot, and therefore he seemed to say that they are carrying aspirations or wishes of their supporters. So we are not so sure whether this particular one hurts their supporters directly and indirectly the government, or hurts the government directly and their supporters indirectly. Abby.
All right, many thanks there, Duncan Haemba, senior reporter, just